Put on your boots with the fur and get low. It was probably 2005, and since our intrepid hero had been relegated to the wall of shame, and a few things had happened since then in the years that passed, one of which was a cavernous rift had emerged between the traditionalists and us defined as the people that will go find cars in fields, junkyards, just get them on the road, and the people who say, restore everything to concourse type quality, of which we are definitely not those people. And the second thing was I had become really good friends with a gentleman by the name of Zachary Byron Helm from the Denver Hearse Association, who is the sister club to Dead Ends. And as our friendship had emerged, we had conspired a great deal between us. And when I found out that he was hosting the 2005 international meet for what is basically the traditionalists, I felt that our culture needed to be represented equally. So instead of doing the thing I normally do, which is just, slap some tires on it and drive it, I thought, hey, I'm driving a pretty good distance. I should do some preventative maintenance this time. And I did. I put new tires on it and a bunch of other things, but when it came time to leave, I was like, oh, I forgot to check the back brakes. Let me make sure that those are good. When I had the tires put on, whoever decided to put the tires on had taken the impact gun from high to Harimbe and wrenched them onto the car. I have earned a reputation in our circle of friends, and maybe a nickname of Mongo. Mongo just pawn in game of life. Because I can break basically any bolt in a fit of anger. So I'm taking the right rear wheel off, and I managed to snap 2 wheel studs on the same wheel. A 1972 commercial chassis Cadillac does not share hardly any driveline components with its passenger car brethren, so finding a wheel stud for a 1972 commercial chassis Cadillac is virtually impossible. Matter of fact, it was only last year that I managed to replace this, so they had been running on a grab bag bit. So I run to the parts store real quick, I grab 2 wheel studs off of like a 1-ton truck, because that's what will fit through the hole, but they don't match. So now I have 3 different size wheel studs on the rear of this car. Get the car together and head out I-20. Now, I-20 is most famously known as probably the best thing to ever come out of Alabama. I am 45 minutes into the fine state of Alabama watching the birds fly upside down when my wife notices that the temperature gauge has just gone all the way to the right. This is not good. So I pull off on the side of the road and check, and I've thrown a belt that I had just replaced. Like, great. So I crawl into the car, and I've got tools, I've got parts, I have spare belts, hoses, fluids, you name it, I've got it with me, and about 5 coat hangers and a roll of duct tape just in case, because of my few previous trips where I learned I cannot leave the state of Georgia without braking. 45 minutes into Alabama, under the car, replacing a belt, get everything nice and tight, and I look over to my right, and what do I see? A pair of shiny black boots. It's like, great. This is good. I have such good history with police officers. And I get out, and there's an Alabama state trooper standing there, and he says, "Did you break down, son?" I managed in a rare fit of self-control not to use the bill lingo. "No, sir, I was just looking for a nice shady spot to take a nap." And I responded with, "Yes, sir, but I'm good." He says, "Well, you see a dead hearse on the side of the road. You want to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Have a nice day." Cool. So we get back on the road. Pretty uneventful 10 gas station stops later, we end up in the fine state of Arkansas. Now, it's just past dusk, it's starting to get dark, and we're at a truck stop in Arkansas, and there's mosquitoes. I mean, just tons of mosquitoes, and they're of notable size. And fill up my tank, go inside and pay, I come back out. As I'm walking to my car, the power goes out at this truck stop. And if you've ever watched a zombie movie, well, you know that when the lights go out, that's when they attack, and that's when apparently these giant, like hummingbird-sized, vampiric mosquitoes begin to swarm upon us. And they're filling the car. They're just crazy. It is this like fog of mosquitoes. And so we get in the car and we're hauling butt. I don't have air conditioning, so the only thing I can do is just put it to the floor and hope that they blow out. Now, I have a sample size of exactly that one incident, but I have now determined that next to the Peregrine Falcon at full attack mode, the Alabama vampire mosquito is the fastest flying creature on the face of the earth. And we've got, I'm holding a magazine out the window on one side, and my wife is trying to do the same. We're just trying to blow them out, and they're pacing us and looking over like, ha. So we finally get all the mosquitoes out of the car. We're, half drained like mummies. The beauty of driving through the Midwest is it is completely flat. There is nothing, and the roads are crow flying straight as long as the eye can see. You look to your right, and you might see a farmhouse here and there, but it kind of looks like a placid harbor at night. It's just nothing. And we're cruising along, not worried about the tires overheating now. And off in the distance, I see some flashing lights. I'm a nice guy with a ton of tools with me, so I'm thinking, all right, if somebody broke down out here, it could be weeks before anybody finds their bodies. I kind of pull up next to the car, and the lady inside the car just turns real quickly and screams bloody murder, not expecting to see this giant hearse standing there. I was like, do you need any help? And she's like, we're just letting our son pee. So we wave and we keep on going. After, again, a little bit of time, I'm starting to get a little dreary from driving, from Loganville, Georgia to now the far side of Arkansas. So we decided, let's get us a hotel room for the night. The room that they put us in, I'm not a super tall fella. I'm, just an RCH below 6 feet tall. And this room, we later dubbed it the Lilliputian suite, because as I go to take a shower of an entire day of sitting in a car without air conditioning, my hair is touching the ceiling of the shower and the shower head is in my chest. Order of operation is very, very important when taking a shower when the shower head is right here. And, the counters are, just above knee high. I don't understand it at all. Terrible night of sleep, and we get back on the road. So we make it to the rest of the way to Denver without any, major incidents. Good times are had by all. And then, we get up Sunday morning and we start to head back out. Lovely, lovely drive. We're now getting to see, the great American road trip in the daylight, which is a far more charming thing. This is, again, why I have a fairly low opinion of Alabama. I'm sure they're fine people, but there's something about the state or the universe that hates me. And we are coming through, we are just past Meridian, Mississippi, entering Alabama when the temperature gauge spikes one more time. How have I thrown 3 belts on the same water pump? And this time we're super close to a truck stop, so we pull in. I pop the hood, and the belt's missing. I turn the fan, and it sounds like a retired quarterback's shoulder. It's that bone-on-bone bearing has gone, And this is 2005, so this is 2+ years before the iPhone. So there is no technology that's going to save me at this point. It's Sunday in Alabama. I was like, well, I need a water pump. So I call my friend Needles. I'm like, hey, can you get on the internet, find me a water pump? I'm stuck. I have an atlas here and no phone book. So he starts to call around and he finds me a water pump. It's 20 minutes away, but they don't have it that day. They'll have to get it to them in the morning, and great. So I call them, we work it out. They'll get it in the morning. They'll bring it to me. I did have to offer extra cash if somebody will bring it to me. And strangely enough, there are 4 things at this truck stop. There is a truck stop, there's a greasy spoon with 2 tables, there's a diesel repair shop with 1 bay, and for some reason a Holiday Inn. And so we get our continental breakfast of Danish and orange juice, and I get to work working on my car. I am a ginger. You may not be able to tell because of my dark hair with all the gray in it, but I am a ginger. My shoulders look like I went hunting with Dick Cheney. They're so freckled. And gingers have this unique quality to them where we can burn at just the thought of sunshine. And being at a truck stop at 9:30 in the morning and, just inside of Alabama, I didn't notice that in the 45 minutes in which I was taking one water pump out, replacing it with the other, that my pants had pulled down just slightly and my shirt had ridden up a little bit as I'm leaning into the car. And I developed a wretched sunburn all the way across the top of my butt. That same spot where your butt meets the seat of a 1972 Cadillac. Lovely, lovely experience. We make it back though, I get it running. Ended up having to buy a $5 hose clamp because in the fray of taking all this stuff apart, I apparently misplaced one and walked up to the diesel shop. Like, yeah, we'll sell you one for $5. Like, this is a 10-cent, fine, whatever. Put it on the car, we get back home. I think we totaled it up. We went through 315 gallons of gas. So if anybody is thinking that there's a good idea, and I do not recommend it, of driving cross country in a Hearse, remember it gets 8 to 12 miles to the gallon on the best day of its life.